Hello everyone and welcome back to round 9 of our F1 2003 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from La Castellet, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. The last couple of races have been just carnage, plain and simple. Changeable conditions last weekend saw a mad dash towards the checkered line for both Ferrari cars. Jenson Button, though, finally gave Renault both his and the team's first win inside this series as well, meaning already we've seen more different teams win a race this season than we did throughout the entirety of 2002. Michael Schumacher has a 24-point lead at the top of the table after we finished second and third back-to-back race weekends as well, behind Kimi Räikkönen and JB respectively. Constructors-wise, Ferrari still absolutely dominating in the constructors. They're ahead of McLaren. Williams still in P3, ahead of Renault and Toyota. But yeah, as we return though to Austria, you know, we're over halfway through the season. Schumacher has still got, admittedly, only a small, but certainly a healthy buffer at the top of the table. And when you factor in, of course, that one DNF for him, he still hasn't finished lower than second in a Grand Prix so far this year. So a really, really good run of form from our teammate. We're hoping we can try and get the better of him this weekend. Only time will tell, though. We cannot afford to let him build up more than a race wins margin at the top of the table. Get yourself subscribed if you're new around here as well. And if you want to help support us just a little bit more, you can click that join button. It costs just £1 a month. You get early access to all the videos, as well as a few other little bits and pieces. But yeah, without further ado then, let's return here to the Styrian Mountains. Well, the sun meant to be shining then throughout the entirety of the weekend here from Austria, which isn't that common inside this mod, so hopefully that is a good sign of things to come. Of course, this place, though, very much a power circuit as well, so I would expect McLaren to be very, very quick around this venue today. Of course, they've won this race a couple of times in the past inside this series. So we absolutely throw the car in at the top of the hill. They're actually locked the rears up slightly. So I think I'm going to opt just to move the brake bars forwards just a little bit. But yeah, at the moment, of course, yeah, Schumacher and I still with a rather healthy lead at the top of the World Championship. So not so worried about McLaren just yet. Maybe if they start stringing together a few more victories. Of course, Coulthard this year hasn't probably been as out-and-out fast as Kimi Räikkönen, but has also been far more consistent as Jenson Button momentarily moves up into P1. So again, Renault really do seem to have a lot of straight-line speed in those cars as well. We're starting to see more and more teams really, you know, kind of fighting up at the front of the order. There is a little bit of curb use through that final turn. Run towards the line then. Button is going to be on pole. We end up, I believe, only just P4. Well, there we go then. Jenson Button, a bit like buses. He finally gets one pole and another one immediately shows up as well then. Kimi Räikkönen will join him on the front row. David Coulthard outqualifies me by just 1/1000th of a second at the end of the session as well, just ahead of Alexander Wurz and Michael Schumacher. Both of your two teams from 2002 fighting for the title, Ferrari and Williams, we need to find some upgrades because a lot of other teams have caught up.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory of course back in 1984. And it's a sellout crowd once again here today. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Well, turn 1 then here in Austria is always quite a scary place. Turn 1 and turn 2 could lead to a lot of chaos and confusion. But 36 laps then ahead of us. Jenson Button, can he make it 2 wins in a row and really start to prove that he could be a World Championship threat this year, especially with Schumacher starting behind? We've got a golden opportunity to take some points out of our teammate as well, but I believe he's actually taken some penalties this weekend. There's 5 red lights. It's going to be lights out, and away we go there, and I've not got the start again. Just bogging down the car in towards turn 1. Careful that we don't go into the back of Jarno Trulli there, and we'll immediately try and go back on the offensive on the exit of that first turn as well. So yeah, Schumacher, he definitely took a grid penalty then, and has started further down the order than he would have wanted, as Raikkonen already trying to go on the attack against Jenson Button. 3 wide at the front of the order then, as Coulthard will try and go around the outside there. Luckily the Renault in the middle will somehow come out on top, as Coulthard now will go around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen as well. They're again going to be 3 wide by the time we get down in towards the next corner. Coulthard locks up, the McLarens collide. Coulthard actually uses his teammate there to rotate himself into the corner, as it is McLaren Renault at the front of the order. Jenson Button does not want to give it up, but Coulthard will just get down the inside and slowly squeeze him out on the exit of the corner there. A little bit more patient than what we saw between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen last weekend in Saudi Arabia. As all this goes on, we're going to send one to the inside of Alexander Wurz then, by the end of lap 1. Get back to where we have started here, as already we've got yellow flags out a little bit further behind. Looks like the green flag racing. One car's got it, Schumacher. Well, no idea what's going on with our teammate then, as he makes his way in towards the final corner. He's already lost some of the front wing earlier on in the lap. Tries to get out of the way. And I believe that was one of the Jaguar cars there. Just if we have a look from their POV, the Jaguar trying to tuck in just misjudges it there. And Michael Schumacher, your first retirement of the afternoon, nothing he could really do. I mean, he didn't understeer out wide or anything. Just tried to get the car in, and I mean, he did wiggle back out slightly, but the second DNF of the year for our teammate. Or rather unsurprisingly then, that accident earlier on bringing out the safety car in this GP, but for the end of lap 4 we are about ready to go green flag racing once again. And of course, if we were to win this race now, admittedly I think that's going to be quite a tall order here, we would take the lead of the World Championship away from our teammate there, but our biggest rival so far that isn't called Michael Schumacher is the one leading. So we go green flag racing then to start lap 5. Trying to make sure that we get the tyres up to temperature and everything like that as quickly as we possibly can. But yeah, I'm expecting, Renault, McLaren, they're going to probably be fighting in front of me as long as we can keep Alex Wurz at bay. The Sauber as well, they're normally a missile in a straight line inside this mod. But yeah, we've just got to try and stay out of trouble here. Just try and build the car up slowly but surely. Just like we saw last weekend, then Jenson Button, that Renault, got very, very good one-lap pace. But a lot of other cars just a little bit quicker then, as Raikkonen will try and make the move at the top of the hill. JB will try and get the power down around the outside. Renault power versus McLaren here. Two of the titans of the early 2000s. Of course, IRL, it would be 2005 that these two teams will start battling for World Championships against each other. But Raikkonen will make it through them, and already look at the gap DC has been able to build up at the top of the order. The only other thing I'm thinking about, of course, with Schumacher out of the race, as long as we score points, we will take points out of him. So, although, of course, yeah, we want to fight for wins every single weekend, we do have to be smart here. We do have to be calculated with it. That isn't being calculated. A complete lock-up of the front inside wheel through that penultimate corner, but we've just got to try and stick with these guys as best as we can. I want to know what qualifying mode that Renault car uses, because that thing is nowhere near as quick as soon as we move into race trim there. So definitely I've got a very, very aggressive power preset in qualifying there, as we will now try and have a look around the outside of Jenson Button. Similar move to what Raikkonen made last time. Oh, I really did think for a second we might lose the wing there, trying to do the old up and under. We'll get it to work. Haven't actually damaged the wing, have we? No, team just recommending a different strat anyway. They want us to go a bit longer. That safety car will allow everybody to extend this first stint. We definitely saw a similar thing last weekend with Jenson Button. Took pole and then really struggles through the early laps now. Seems to be under pressure from Alexander Wurz as well. So, again, is there something wrong with that Renault car? Does Button just take too much out of his tyres too early in a race. It's really, really peculiar. We seem to have the pace, though, over Kimi Räikkönen right now, but Coulthard at the front, he just seems to have a couple of extra tenths in the back pocket over everybody. I'll be honest, I'm still not really sure how Button got back to the lead last weekend. I know Ferrari, we both had an absolute disastrous race and kind of got a bit lucky with the wet tyres right at the end. But I don't know how McLaren threw it away, because those cars are definitely quicker than the Renaults still in race trim. But yeah, Button early on just seems to have nothing, as Coulthard runs a 108.5. We only run a 108.8. Well, as we get closer and closer then to the pit window here, just starting to think about what we can do to try and get the jump on Kimi Räikkönen. DC is just setting fastest lap after fastest lap at the front of the order, and annoyingly for me, I can close in through the corners, you can see, but that McLaren has definitely just got a little bit more straight line speed over our car at the moment. Renault, they seem to have no answer to Ferrari or McLaren right now. So we'll have a look, you know, we'll think about trying to show the nose on Räikkönen up at the top of the hill. Again, he's the Iceman. He's not going to get kind of thrown off by something like that, is he? I don't know whether it's worth trying to undercut just a little bit, or whether actually overcutting could be the way to go here, because cold tyres in this mod, they could be horrible. Oh, there we go, finally. Finally, fastest lap of the day, showcasing the pace we've got. Team now wanting us to dive in at the end of this lap, so they feel like we've used up everything that these soft compound tyres have to offer. I'm going to do what every Kimi Räikkönen doesn't do now. Looks like Coulthard maybe has just taken everything out of his set up in front as well. But yeah, if Räikkönen pits, we'll stay out. If Räikkönen stays out, we'll pit. Here we go, that moment of truth time. Kimi Räikkönen, if he is going to dive in, he'll move over off the circuit quite early. Or we will slightly misjudge the pit entry white line there and maybe carry a little bit too much speed on the way in. Temporarily, we will pull alongside Kimi. But into the pits we'll go then, and it really does seem now, yeah, Räikkönen another new fastest lap. So Coulthard definitely maybe just struggling a little bit here towards the end of the stint. 2.7 second stop isn't too bad. I think we'll come out behind Jarno Trulli and Olivier Panis in this race, but hopefully not behind too many other cars there, as where is Montoya? I think we're going to be racing with the Williams on the exit, but the pit exit here is horrible. Even in a car with traction control, all the bumps and everything make it rather difficult to navigate. But yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya then coming out just ahead of us. No idea where Alonso is in this race. I don't know if he's already flown by. But yeah, we've got both BARs just behind us as well. But Williams, what a difference a year makes. Remember Frentzen here last season flying along. Abel, I believe he took victory that weekend when Schumacher and Villeneuve both had mechanical failures. Michael Schumacher again failing to see the checkered flag this season. Maybe Villeneuve will, you know, face the same fate as well, but it seems like as every other team's engines have come further and further on, BMW just have not been able to make the upgrades. Combine that maybe with a bit of a weaker chassis this year as well for the Williams team. Are we going to be able to do anything in towards that final corner? I never dreamed of getting a run on a Williams car in a straight line last year. That's exactly what we've gone and done. There we go, Olivier Panis as well, just in front of me, going to dive into the pit lane then, as we've got yellows out temporarily. No idea what's going on, whether a car's had a mechanical failure or what's happened through the final corner. I can't see anybody stopped, as we will take new fastest lap of the day then, so there's definitely something's happened to somebody. More importantly for us, there is Kimi Räikkönen there as well. We try and send it through turn 1. Will we be able to get the slipstream and a run up the hill in towards turn 2 and turn 3? This is critical for both of our Grand Prix then, as down the inside we will go. Very, very hot on the brakes there, but we'll use the traction control to rotate the car around and sliding our way then up into a net P2 of this Grand Prix. Coulthard still yet to pit, but here comes Räikkönen back at me. Is he going to return the favour in towards turn 4 there as we try and go down the hill? Bouncing a little bit off the curbing there. Räikkönen will try and keep the nose up the inside. Won't be able to hang on though. And on that colder tyre, we took the pain a little bit early. Was able to start, you know, kind of unleashing the pace that the car had underneath it. I assume we're going to see the rest of our runners into the pits then at the end of this lap, as there are still yellows out. So I wonder if that's just the AI trying to get into the pit lane. I think that's sometimes what it is here, because the game gets a bit confused back on F1 2020. But there was Coulthard making his way back out of the circuit then. I can just see him up the road in turn 1. So he's made that strategy work, still maintains a 4-second margin, but we are now between the McLarens. We'll have to deal with some lapped cars then, as you can see Coulthard closing in on one immediately. Another new fastest lap for us though, so now we're at the dirty air of Kimi Räikkönen. We are really flying along, but so far this year lapped cars haven't really worked for us very well. Montreal is probably the best example of that, so I'm hoping trying to chase down another McLaren, we're not going to face the same fate again. Thank you to Scuba Sato, that's exactly what we need. The AI there letting us by in a straight line. Hopefully Sato, he doesn't... he did definitely outbrake himself there and almost ran into the back of me, but as long as he doesn't dive bomb me or crash into me, that should be okay. Gap to DC, 3.5 seconds, as he's definitely just been held up a little bit more by another lapped car. And Felipe Massa doing exactly the same thing as Sato did one lap earlier. Oh, again, it's just when that proximity arrow flashes red for a brief second, my heart rate just spikes. Ralph, come on, man. why move out the way one side and then decide actually you want to move out the way the other there? Very weird. And yeah, there you go, Ralph Schumacher. Of course, if I had to put money on one of those lap cars doing it, it would be him. I don't know whether Michael's just kind of spread rumours to him or what, but obviously Schumacher and I haven't been best of friends in this game. So clearly, yeah, Michael's brother Ralph, also not my greatest fan. Oh, we got yellows. I think Coulthard. Oh, no, Räikkönen, sorry. Räikkönen. Is he out of the Grand Prix? He's definitely had something happen to him. What's happened to Kimi? Well, riding on board then with Kimi Räikkönen here. He's just behind us. He's got a full front wing. I think that car's blown up. Kimi Räikkönen slowing down then with less than 10 laps to go of the race. And that is a really disappointing moment for him. Has he had a puncture? No, he's definitely pulling over then. Räikkönen is going to be out of the Grand Prix alongside Michael Schumacher. Oh, safety car. I mean, that works well for us. I'm not going to complain about that right now then, as I don't know whether the safety car would have come out ahead of Coulthard here. If it hasn't, might try and see if we can claim a cheeky pit stop. But yeah, that's suddenly Coulthard's advantage at the front is going to be absolutely deleted, and both of our cars seem fairly close on pace at this stage. Well, whoever wins this race then out of your top 3 is going to join Michael Schumacher in the Repeat Winners Club this year, as there is Kimi Räikkönen's stricken McLaren car. But we are going to take the gamble then. We're going to try and peel into the pit lane at this stage of the GP there, get onto a fresh set of the soft compound tyre, and hopefully have a big advantage over Coulthard towards the end. Ferrari, we have nailed these strategies before, but will we have a chance to do it today there? As I think McLaren thought about doing the same thing with DC as well, as we are going to let some of those lapped cars by again. I hadn't really factored those in, so that might be a little bit awkward. But where is Jenson Button then in this Grand Prix? He's gaining, but luckily, yeah, we will re-emerge in P2. Well, DC then is going to lead us away with just 6 laps to go then. Felipe Massa, he's the only lapped car between us though. But we have got a fresh, soft compound set of tyres on the wagon. We should hopefully have a huge advantage over DC. If he can hang on to this, then yeah, he is definitely a big World Championship threat there, as Felipe Massa hopefully is going to let us out of the way pretty much immediately. Yep, get over the start-finish line. And then Minardi will pull to the inside of the circuit then. Hopefully not going to dive bomb me back into turn 1. We are just going to have to try and take a couple of corners, hopefully only, to get these tyres back up. But yeah, Button and Alonso waiting in the wings. Of course, Williams, sure they'd love to try and snooker away a win today, as Alonso now will actually go down the inside of Jenson Button. So maybe Williams finally getting themselves back in the fight there, as Fernando, will he be able to get the power down against the Renault car on the exit of the corner? I just don't think he's got enough straight line speed in that car there, and Button, I think, is going to try and hang on to it. No, again, Alonso dives it down the inside there, trying to hang on to the position again, and I think has not completed the move once more. All this is doing is allowing Coulthard now to run away, and also Felipe Massa to not get himself lapped just yet, but Button will survive the attack and will remain in the podium places for now. Well, I think with 3 laps to go then, Coulthard has been allowed by the team to put that car into a very aggressive engine preset, because he is just pulling away from us by a little bit at the moment. We've definitely still got the grip through the corners. We are definitely starting to get the car back up to the pace it needs to be at. but DC has already opened up an 8% margin. Tyre wear hasn't been as bad this weekend as I think a lot of us thought it would be, as we run a little bit wide there through turn 1. That's just how hard we're pushing late on in the day here, but yeah, Coulthard, you can just see in a straight line, he's pulling away from me, so despite the slipstream and everything else, we have to try and make the difference up through the corners. Come on, 2 more laps to go. Surely that's going to be a new fastest lap into the 106s. Finally, we will break that next sub-second barrier. But you just see there, when, as soon as you get too close to Coulthard though, the dirty air, the traction control, really just kind of start working against you here. You see, we don't lose as much in a straight line. We certainly gain a lot still on the brakes there, as again the back end trying to break free. We really are trying to run as aggressive on that brake pedal as we possibly can right now. We're trying to avoid locking at the rears, because we have got a little bit more purchase from the tyres, but it is not perfect there, as you can see again, just trying to open up the circuit a bit too much. They're dropping the rear of the car off that curbing. It really does not work for us. This thing can be very, very quick, but can be very, very sensitive over some of those bigger curbs around this venue. Coulthard, though, he has basically led this one since lap 1 after that daring 3-wide movement, obviously with his teammate and with Jenson Button there. It is the sole remaining McLaren versus the sole remaining Ferrari here. 1 lap to go here from the Austrian Grand Prix. Is it going to be DC? Is it going to be us? Either way, you are going to see your second repeat winner of the year joining the club, currently only occupied by Michael Schumacher. His championship lead is going to be absolutely slashed, whoever takes victory today. But I really would love to try and take the lead of the World Championship for the first time this season. Not bad power as we make our way up the hill. We'll close in just a little bit more on Coulthard once again as we drop down in towards turn 4 there, throwing the car in, praying that the back end is going to hang on with us there, and it does just about once more. This is the section though where we have been much, much quicker than the McLaren car all day long. That thing is a missile in a straight line. This Ferrari definitely has got a bit more aerodynamics there as we bounce over the curbs though. 2 more corners to go. I think Coulthard, he somehow is going to be able to hang on here. McLaren, I said in qualifying they were going to be the team to beat this weekend, and Coulthard, he is going to bag his second race win of the year.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, there we are then, just 0.4 of a second covering the top 2 come the checkered flag, but it is David Coulthard who will become our second repeat winner of the year there. We follow him home in P2 just ahead of Jenson Button. Fernando Alonso Wirtz there just ahead of both Saubers, with Davidson, Montoya and Zob Baumgartner rounding out your top 10. Once again, Fernando Alonso comfortably better than his Colombian counterpart. Giancarlo Fisichella beats out Jacques Villeneuve. Both Jaguars and Nick Heidfeld remained on the lead lap there, with just Massa and Sato 1 lap down. Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher and Kimi Räikkönen all failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means the gap at the top now is down to just 6 points between Michael and myself. They're Coulthard only 19 behind as well. The ever-consistent Fernando Alonso hangs on to P4, and Räikkönen, he just cannot seem to get any luck going his way so far this year there. Button jumps Montoya in for P6. Olivier Panis still ahead of Wirtz and Jacques Villeneuve as well there, with Davidson getting the jump on Giancarlo Fisichella. Constructors-wise, Ferrari still lead by 87 points there. The gap pretty similar, actually, between us and them and Williams, who I believe that's a 72-point deficit Williams in P3. Renault and Sauber now both ahead of Toyota. I mean, Renault very easily could get Williams by the end of the campaign as well. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the British Grand Prix.